everybody. Welcome to the latest episode of Anatomy of a Room, where we pull back the curtain on a beautifully designed space by one of our members and get all the nitty gritty as to how they got there. Anywhere is a platform that is bringing interior designers and trade-only manufacturers together in one place to simplify sourcing, collaboration, and discovery of new manufacturers. So visit us at anywhere.design to learn a little bit more. But today we are so excited to be joined by Caitlin Flemming, Bay Area based interior designer and 3-time published author. So thanks for being here, Caitlin.
Thanks. I'm excited to be here.
It's going to be fun. So we will be diving into one of your projects in particular, but I just have up your beautiful website here, which I think gives such a nice snapshot into your aesthetic and point of view. We'll be featuring or discussing the Laurel project here shortly. But tell us a little bit about, this is one of those questions that I feel like so many designers don't love, but I'm going to ask it anyways. Tell us a little bit about either your design style or kind of your approach to your projects.
So my belief is that every project should encompass like the overall client and what they believe in. So it's like deeply personal. We like deep dive on the client. We see like kind of what they love. And so we really believe in like that deeply personal design and then also like function. So if they have kids, that sort of thing. But we also, our aesthetic thrives in old and new. So we create a lot of custom pieces. But then I think what really makes our projects so unique is the found objects. So I love the thrill of the hunt. I love collecting things, and we have things in storage that we use in every single project. So I think that's what really sets our projects apart.
I love that. Wait, so you have like a secret stash of things?
Yes, I'm constantly collecting.
I feel like that's the classic, like, that's where it begins, is like sprinkling it throughout your house. And then slowly you're like, okay, I have.
Or when your family comes home and things are missing and they realize it, that's when you really know. Oh, we needed a side table for this project. And they're like, okay, but now there's a hole. Now what are we doing?
I love it. Okay, so we are going to be talking about the Laurel project, but this is located in Petaluma. I really want to dive into kind of like your process, and you started to touch on it, but I'd love to know, like, where did this client come from? Tell us a little bit about the home. Like, when you walked into it, what were they hoping for from you?
So this was a really interesting project to come into because the family was moving from Marin County and they were downsizing from a very large home that they brought their kids up in. They were based in San Anselmo and they were downsizing and moving up to Petaluma. And they found this gem of a house that was 1 story and it had all of the old character that they wanted, but it hadn't been like redone in a very long time. It just was very dark. So as you walked through the home, even though everything was white, it was a pretty dark house with like elephant plaster on the walls. So we had to bring in a team to sand every single wall down in order to get it smooth. This is like their forever house that they will be living in. And it's actually a friend's parents. So I was referred to, they love my aesthetic. They love how I mix old and new. They loved that I kind of create homes where you just want to sit in all day and you just feel a hug when you walk into them and you don't want to leave. And that's what they love. And they love for their kids to come with their grandkids and everything. So this was all the before. And we really wanted to make it like very layered, very homey. They don't want to leave. They just want to like hang out there all day. And her inspiration that kept coming back was the layered look of Miss Marple and like all of those English shows, which I love and adore. And so we were trying to mimic that, but this in this time period. So I
Yeah.
loved that we were kind of like, you know, watching these shows. Like I would watch them to see what attracted her because she would send me screenshots of like her taking photos of rooms as she was watching the show. It was fun to like kind of, you know, deep dive into this aesthetic. And I don't use a lot of red in my projects. So this was kind of a stretch for me to start using red. I mean, I use brown all the time and I have for years. So, but also bringing in this red tone was a little bit it was very new for me, but I love when clients throw you something and you have to adapt and learn, and I think that's what's so fun about this
Mhm.
industry and about being in this field is you have your own aesthetic, but then clients also have their vision.
I know, I love that. Well, and I think you have, I feel like you do use brown, but in such a unique way. Like it doesn't ever feel heavy or like dark and old. It's still, you have like a very fresh take, but it's interesting. I mean, I was reflecting on that when I was looking at the images of like, there's so much brown here, and actually what's so interesting is it looked to me like some of the furniture pieces were in those like initial before images, but they feel totally different with the fresh take, like this coffee table, I think, right?
So she had really beautiful pieces to start with, and I think sometimes designers want to scrap everything their clients have, and I really take in what clients already own and how we can kind of move them into different places within the house or reinvent them so they look new and fresh. So we took the same sofa and the same two accent chair, those club chairs. Those were actually in the before pictures too, but they're Laura Ashley. Like those are beautiful pieces that should not just be thrown away. So we reinvented them and they were just in a plain linen, and we put Lisa Fine fabrics on them and did a slip cover because she loves a slip cover because she has grandkids. She wants to be able to dry clean them. And then what we did with the cushions there is that's a plaid wool blanket that I found in England for them. And because she just loves that layered look. So it was really fun to not only use their, because they had stunning pieces, and I'm like, we can't find these again. And they worked scale wise in the home still. And so instead of investing in new pieces, we decided to reupholster them.
I love
And
it.
I think they turned out totally, it looks like a completely new home.
It really does. That's amazing. I feel like that's a common question too. Is people are like, is it worth reupholstering? Because reupholstering is not inexpensive, um, necessarily. So what's your take on that? Like, when do you determine if it's
It's almost the same price, I hate to say, as getting a brand new sofa. I am just in the mindset. I mean, I grew up in a family where my dad's an environmentalist, and so I really think about the sustainability aspect of if it is a well-made piece of furniture, I think it is 100% worth redoing it, putting new fabric on it, in my opinion. I mean, the sofa behind me right here used to be a sectional in our old home, and I sawed off the
I
the
love it.
chaise part because it didn't work in our new house, and I put on the arm and and it was
Amazing.
a new sofa.
I love it.
But I didn't think that it was worth just buying a whole new sofa for this house. And I loved it's a sleeper for when we have guests. So in my opinion, I'm more of the mindset of recovering if it is a well-made piece. And I think Laura Ashley is beautifully made. It's a great company. So we decided to reupholster it. And they were very into that. This client was
Mhm.
obviously because they're sectional in their sunroom, as you saw, it is the same thing where it fit perfectly and they loved the cushions. They just loved that sofa. They were like, it's so comfortable. We just want a sofa just as comfortable as this. And so instead, I was like, well, why don't we just recover this one too? And we did it in a beautiful Penny Morrison. And it looks completely different. They have the same comfort that they've always been used to. And it completely reinvented the room.
I know, I love it. This is the sofa you were referring to that was their existing sofa. And then that's their existing coffee table as well, right?
Yeah, we just added a tray to kind of mix it up.
Mhm.
And then we put the Penny Morrison fabric on this sofa that they loved so much. And I just love the pop of Peter Dunham here.
So fun. I love it. It looks so great.
I loved that team. They emailed me. They're like, did you get the color correct? Because I never order red.
Oh my God, that's amazing. Like, this cannot be
Like,
better.
good check. But yes, we're going red, guys.
I love it. Okay, so have you, like, once you did it, are you wanting to do more red, or were you just like, maybe that was,
I haven't worked with this color tone since this project. It's intrigued me, but no one's kind of had that vision. But for a new project that I have in Seattle, they're really attracted to this color for their living room. So I'm kind of excited to dive back in.
yeah, having to shake it up. Okay, so I want to take us back a little bit because we really like dove right into it, which I love. But I want to understand, you shared your what I imagine to be kind of like your concept document.
Mhm.
So I'll pull that up. And I'd love to hear from you, like, I imagine you have like an initial walkthrough with them, and then is this something you pull together?
I can kind of take you through what we do with each client. So we send them a client questionnaire after our initial meeting and they fill it out. We ask so many different questions. And I feel like we ask what hotels they love staying at because I love knowing where
Yeah.
they, love to hang out, that sort of thing. Clothing brands. I mean, there's really tons of different questions we ask just to get an overall sense of their aesthetic.
Yeah.
And then we create a Pinterest board with the client and we just dump as many photos as we can, both of us together, and we
Hmm.
kind of see where the overall vision is taking us. And then we create these boards for our clients to kind of like hone in on the overall aesthetic and mood that they're feeling or we're feeling for them,
Yeah.
quite honestly.
Yeah.
So this is kind of where we take it. And I love doing those boards with all the photos because that's kind of how my brain works when
Yeah.
envisioning everything. So this is going through, we redid the whole kitchen for them. So this goes into like all of those details. We redid bathrooms, that sort of thing. And then we relied heavily on wallpaper in this project,
Mhm.
which I loved. They just wanted to dabble in it for his study because they kind of wanted that a little bit moodier. But then once they started with that, it was almost a snowball effect of falling in love with Rose Tarlow's wallpapers.
Mhm.
And that was really fun. And we kept adding and adding, which was such a fun way to go about it. So it really added this whole other layer of beauty to the project.
Yeah, like the dining room, I feel like that takes it to such an
That
amazing.
was the last one that we added. Yeah, it was actually white at first, or Swiss coffee is
Uh-huh.
the entire house. And they didn't want that room is really dark because it doesn't have any windows except for coming in through the sunroom. And so they wanted to keep it white. And I had proposed this wallpaper for the space. And they were like, let's just wait once they saw all of the other wallpapers in the rest of the house. Um, they really wanted to have
I love it.
that like homey feeling so that people just wouldn't leave.
Yeah. I mean, this does give you that like hug moment. It's just like
Yeah.
keeping you in it. I love it. Okay, so that yeah, is this kind of you're indicating like giving that fireplace a little facelift?
Yeah, we gave each fireplace a little bit of love because it had that elephant spackling, which was beautiful. Um, and made a huge difference in this room, in the office or his study,
So nice.
because we did that Rose Tarlow wallpaper in there. And then we tried to work with their existing dining table, but it was so long we couldn't fit it in the house.
Oh
Like there
no.
was no way to actually get it into the house
That's insane.
because of the tight corners. So alas, we had to buy a new one.
Yeah. And so how much of like this presentation or this stage ends up or I mean, obviously I'm sure it's different every
To be the
project.
final.
Yeah, in the final.
I would say actually like probably 60%.
Mhm.
Like most of the I would say the fabrics had some rejiggering where we just like moved them around. Like we moved them from one room to the next. We took out a little bit of red. We honed in on, like, for instance, this bedroom, that bedroom. We ended up taking like a Carolina fabric that I had in the living room. We put here. They didn't want, I wanted to tone down the brown in this room and just add a taupe because I love to make bedrooms more serene. But instead, they wanted to bring more brown in. And so we brought the Carolina, we took the taupe away and then we added the Carolina um, headboard. We did one through Rachel Ashwell. And so we did a headboard in Carolina and then we added a wallpaper. I mean, we added way more layers than I was expecting them to want to add, which was so much fun.
Yeah.
You know, I think they came in wanting to do like a conservative amount of pattern. And then once we started to deep dive into it, they really like leaned into it a lot,
I love
which
it.
was so fun because they just wanted it to create this really cozy feeling.
It's like
Um,
they get a taste of it.
yeah. And what was fun is in the primary bedroom, we did drapes in the fabric from the sofa in the living room so that they kind of talked to one another. So that's the same fabric from the living room sofa. So we
So
wanted the rooms to kind of talk to one another in a way, in a subtle way. So we kind of have a few patterns that go from one room to the next, but it's so subtle. Some people notice and some people don't.
well, and I was gonna say, I feel like you read like the way that a fabric presents itself on curtains versus on the sofa is like completely different. So
Hmm.
fun to
Hmm.
be able to do both. I love it. Okay, so you walk them through this presentation and then I love to think that they just like got a feel for it and then we're like, we want more and more and more.
Yeah, so this client was really fun because she loved touching the fabrics, sitting with the fabrics for a while. So I would like leave them with her so that she
Mhm.
could kind of mull them over, decide what she liked and didn't like, that sort of thing. And then we would regroup. I would resource where she wasn't really feeling some of the patterns or resource a different colorway.
Mhm.
And then we would regroup like a week or two later, and she would have a different perspective on some of the fabrics. And then I would bring in new ones that would then kind of twist the concept a little bit, but make it even more elevated, which made it more fun.
I love it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you're such a master of mixing like the textiles and fabrics and everything. Do you typically start from a point of the fabrics, or and then like layer in rugs. I feel like that, there's always this like, are you a rug first or a fabric first? And I mean, are you either, or do you just see what works for you? Because it looked to me like you had maybe some vintage or found rugs as well.
Mhm. Yeah. I always start with fabrics. That's my preference. I think I can find a rug for any concept in the end. I personally think it would be harder to start the other way around. So I've always been fabrics first. I come up with the entire concept, then I bring the fabrics to my rug vendors, and then we kind of play around with rug options. And I think that works better in my mindset because I'm thinking about all the different scales of the fabrics, and that's more important to me. Like having the small prints with the stripe with the bigger print, like that matters to me more because then I can kind of fine tune the rug options from there.
When you look at a project like this, especially because you're such an expert at like layering and all these patterns, that's kind of the first thing that my eye caught was like all this beautiful fabric and everything. But you did touch so much more than that. I mean, you talked about the walls, like getting rid of all that beautiful elephant plaster. But it looked like there was some maybe electrical work that had to be touched too. Like I noticed some sconce locations that
Mm-hmm.
maybe were, I don't know, moved or added, or was there any kind of other construction?
I think this story's made up because everybody thinks it is. So we were in the basement and we were with my contractor and we were walking down the stairs and we needed to figure out how we could add to the pantry and the kitchen. But when you walk down the stairs, there was like a header situation. When we were down there, we discovered a box of lighting. These are the original lights to the house.
What?
Yes. So we discovered 6 of these sconces were just sitting down there and they're beautiful. And so I had them restored. That vintage pendant light was also,
Really? This one?
yes, that was in the
Oh my,
basement, just sitting there.
that's crazy.
Isn't that crazy? I mean, that's like, so, you search for things like this
Totally. And
on
it's just like
First Dibs forever and cherish
forever. And then
forever.
to have
Can
six,
never find six,
no,
six of
never.
them. And they were
Wow.
beautiful. And so then we had all of them restored, rewired. And then for the sconces, we added Les Indians lampshades so that we added a little bit of pattern, like a subtle pattern to them.
Yeah.
Then we also touched the kitchen and bathrooms. We weren't originally going to touch them. We were just going to paint. And then once you start one project, it inevitably folds into the next. So this bathroom originally, I don't know if I sent a photo of it, but it wasn't terrible. It was an old piece of furniture that the old owners put a sink into, but they didn't properly do it correctly and it had a bunch of water damage. It just wasn't sufficient storage for our clients. And so we added on doing this bathroom. The original scope was all the furniture and potentially redoing the kitchen lightly. What the client ended up finding once they moved in was that the kitchen really wasn't how her old kitchen worked and
Mm,
functioned. And granted, it was, a fourth of the size.
yeah.
And so we decided to go about redoing it. But we also wanted to keep it in the same aesthetic as the original. It was so fun because we got to work with her son on all of the custom cabinetry. He's a woodworker and his business is Chop Wood Co. His name is Joss Podol. And so it was really fun creating this kitchen with his parents in mind. So he added in really beautiful details to this space that just made it feel more homey for them, like the glass cabinets. So we decided to bring in some warmth with wood background. And then the nook we redid and did a wood top to that built-in table so that it mimicked the wood of those glass cabinets. So they kind of all talk to one another.
That's so special for them too to have his.
I know. Isn't that fun?
Yeah, so nice. So, moving back into the living room, kind of the main space, and have a moment for the window treatments because I think that this is something that's often not necessarily overlooked, definitely not by the designer, but I think can sometimes be the thing that the clients have a harder time like fully wrapping their head around, whether it's because of budget or I don't know, at least particularly in the Northwest, we get a lot of like, oh, but we hardly have any natural light. I don't want to block it. And I think trying to communicate like the feel and how it's like that, it really like completes the space and brings that sense of warmth. And I think that's just what is so beautiful in this final room. And I feel like comparing it to the before, which granted, I don't think maybe they just had their shutters, but um, I noticed too, and I can pull it up. But in the before, flanking the fireplace, there appeared to be like curtain rods. I think maybe they'd had there. But I would just love to hear a little bit about like your approach to the window treatments. Just a little plug for why they're so why
Why
they're
they're so important. Um, I think to start off with, it's always a struggle to get clients to invest in this part of the project. I think more and more these days, clients realize how important it is for a project to feel finished and completed. I
Mhm.
think sometimes they don't want to go all the way, like as much layered as we want to. And I
Right.
think why this living room looks so special is because we do have that layered look where we have the shutters and then we have the drapes and then we have the Roman shades on those two windows flanking the fireplace. And I
Hmm.
think it just adds that depth and layered look that makes it feel complete. Um, I think that this client in particular, they really wanted, they don't like a lot of light.
Oh.
So they are very sensitive to light. And so that's why they were so keen on drapery and window treatments and layeredness,
Well, lucky you.
which was very lucky. Can all clients not want natural light? I'm just kidding. I'm the opposite. Although I do have, you know, my layered look. But
Right.
I think it's hard. Most clients come to us for their bedrooms because they want blackout shades so that they can't see anything.
Hmm.
And then in the living room, they're willing to spend a little extra because that's where they host and that sort of thing. But I think it's really important to think about every space as its own and how you're going to layer it and how it's going to look complete with
Hmm.
drapes or Romans or woven shades.
Yeah. It's like the ultimate form and function combo, I think. Because it's like you really do have to think about how they're affecting or impacting like privacy and all that. But they just look so beautiful coming from a person who has yet to do winter treatments in her living room.
Yeah, it's a problem for
It is
all of us.
all.
Sometimes designers more. So it took me 2 years to do them in our primary bedroom because I couldn't decide on a fabric.
Well, there you go. That's that. Yeah,
That's the problem too for us. We're inundated with so many beautiful fabrics that then we have a problem picking one.
that's true. Okay, well, speaking of, I'm going to now take us out of the project and just into your like design practice. How do you like to discover new manufacturers? And like, what are some of your favorite textile lines right now that people should know about?
Ooh. Um, I travel a lot. And I think travel is so important to like open up your lens to different parts of the world and how people are designing in different parts of the world. And I think that's why I wrote all three books, is because I wanted to get a sense of how other designers were living and how they were creating their spaces and homes. I call it like my three, well, it takes more than a year to do a book, but I call it like 3 extra years of schooling where each book, because each book I got a taste of so many different designers and I got to be with them for an entire day and I got to interview them and I got to be in their space and I got to see how each of them lived. And I thought that really opened up my eyes into a whole different world of how people design. So I kind of got my own little create academy through writing the books.
How
I am a huge um, advocate for purchasing vintage fabrics.
Mhm.
Um, I would say probably half of my house and pillows are created with vintage fabrics. So I follow a ton of sites that are constantly selling vintage prints because I think that's a really unique way to add layers into clients' homes that people can't get.
Yeah.
So that's huge for me. I am also a huge proponent of like adding quilts. I'm
Mhm.
constantly hoarding quilts that my even my daughter's like, "Do we need more quilts in our house?"
I'm like, what aren't you hoarding
I'm
these
like,
days?
"When do we not need a quilt?" I love discovering new patterns. I love working with, I think this is a really fun way to work with textile designers is talking to them about doing custom colorways.
Mhm.
So I just did drapes in my own home with Alice Surgent in a custom colorway. And then she decided to make it permanent in her collection, which is so
Saw that.
much fun.
I love
And
that.
so I have drapes in my entryway and in my sunroom in her fabric. And it's so fun to now see that colorway in showrooms.
Yeah.
So
Didn't you
that's really
see it?
fun.
And I thought you just posted it maybe from Well Made Home.
I
That
did.
I
Yeah.
love. It's
I
so
love
pretty.
using Well Made Home. They're amazing. And I work with Leah O'Connell a ton, and I work with her on custom colorways. So it's really fun. I think designers or textile designers in particular, the ones that are constantly creating new patterns and designs, they love to work with designers
Yeah.
on figuring out, oh, well, if this colorway doesn't work, how can we change it? And I think it's kind of an advantage that we have in the industry is to kind of push those boundaries and make something different with them, but in their patterns. I mean,
Right.
ultimately, it would be so much fun to do a textile line, but I don't have that bandwidth in me whatsoever at the moment.
At the moment, doesn't
At the
mean
moment, but I don't think it's coming anytime soon. I just love working with the people already in the
that's true.
industry. Like, why reinvent it when we have so much at our disposal?
Yeah.
Um, we are so fortunate to work in this industry and get to help people create these homes that, encompass their aesthetic and how they want to live. And I really, truly cherish working with all my amazing clients. So
I love it. Well, that was like the perfect little end cap. I'm like, I could just keep going and going, but well, the one last question I did want to ask because I feel like, and just like you mentioned with your books, what's like, I mean, one takeaway I know is nearly impossible. What's one learning from those experiences that you feel like you've been able to infuse into your own home?
So, a key takeaway that I took from writing and being in people's homes, and I think I have two. And one of them was nothing is too precious, that you should just live in your home how you live. And I love seeing the imperfections
Mhm.
in our upholstery, if one of my kids spills something on the dining room table and there's a watermark, it just is what it is. And eventually it'll hone its way out and it won't be there anymore. And you can't live scared to actually live in your home.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of my biggest takeaways. I remember being in Carolina Irving's house or even just Penny Morrison's house. I mean, the fact that I was in both of their homes is mind-boggling still to me. But both of them had, a rip in the arm of their armchair and it was just there. And you just kind of the beauty is within the fabric and how it's aging. And I think we all, especially in the United States, need to enjoy the imperfections and enjoy the wear. Nothing needs to be brand new and perfect. And that's how we live in our house. The other key takeaway that I took in being in people's homes writing the book was to pause and enjoy each other.
Mm-hmm.
And I loved being in Europe and we would be photographing everybody's home and they would suddenly pause the photo shoot and we would sit down for this fabulous lunch and enjoy each other and enjoy each other's company and have these wonderful conversations. And I think we need to take that into our lives more here. And it really got me to have a sense of take life a little bit slower and nothing has to be rushed. And sometimes most of my days I am rushing around, but sometimes I do take those days a little bit slower. And I think it's so important for us to do so and enjoy these moments because life goes way too quickly. And I just loved that aspect of sitting down. So now when we shoot our projects, I make sure everybody sits down and we're all enjoying a lunch. And yes, we're taking away time from the photo shoot and actually shooting, but I actually feel like it gets us to the same place that we're going to be. We're going to end at the same time, but everybody takes a pause. And I think it's so important for us to do so.
I love that. It's so true. And I think ultimately probably ends up with like a better product because you just have a moment to like breathe instead of just like going and
Totally
doing too much.
And I think it's important for everybody to take that time and we're all getting to know each other if we are, new to working together or sometimes we're working with the same group, but we're just reflecting. Maybe we're even talking about, oh, how's the rest of the day going to go? What do we have left? Oh, is there anything you want to go back to? But we're taking that moment instead of talking about it as we're still shooting,
Right.
And I think there's just something beautiful about taking those moments and really pausing and being one with each other instead of rushing.
Those Europeans, they have some good.
I know. Can we all be like them?
It's like live with those imperfections and have a white wine lunch. It's really
simple. Yeah. Oh, we do that daily around here all the time.
Oh, yeah, right. This has just been so much fun. I love it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Right.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I loved it.
I feel honored.
Oh, well, I'm honored you would be here. I'm like, such a treat.